Marishon, the first book, what we call, or the first chapter, and we are number 100. We're coming to the end of the book. Okay, I'll just give you a little background. We talked about the sin of the golden calf, and we explained two things regarding the sin of the golden calf. One, that this is what the rabbi explains to the king. Number one, the connection that God has with the Jewish people is an unconditional connection. God didn't just need a nation and he happened to find the Jewish nation. He created the nation, which means that it can't be changed, which means that even if they do the worst thing, we're still the Jewish people, we still do our mission. That's the first thing to clarify. Second thing to clarify was, let's really discuss what was the sin. It wasn't what you thought it was. It wasn't that idol worshiping. It wasn't that they were bowing down to a statue. They wanted to create, they were waiting for the 10 commandments to come down. They were going to have something physical that they could look at, would help them connect to God. And they thought, let's make our own. Because he's not coming. We'll make our own. So they never wanted to replace God. They wanted to replace the golden tablets. The 10 tablets, they were out of diamonds or sapphire or whatever. So they wanted something that they could through this thing, and they thought of a great idea. It will be like a bull, a calf. Is a calf is like the strongest animal, and we want to serve God, and we want to do it in purity, and it's a calf, and all these great ideas. But the problem was God didn't say to do it. And then the king says, I understand, I get it. I did the same thing. I was doing sacrifices, and God told me, I don't want this. Your intentions are wanted, but your actions are not wanted. Also, another thing, we also said, what was the sin? How many people did it? 3,000 people. So 0.5% of the 600,000 men, and there's millions of people, and God still was with us. We still had the clouds of glory. We still had the pillar of fire, and we still had the Moshe Rabbeinu, and we still had prophecy and everything else. So put it in perspective. And then the king understands, and he says, wow, I get it. You can't just invent your ways to serve God. Okay, now we are at 100. Okay, before we go to 100, I want to go back to 11, Yud Aleph, when the king first meets the Jew. The king first meets the rabbi. So in Yud Aleph 11, and he says, tell me about your faith. What does the rabbi say? Do you remember? The rabbi says, I believe in the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov.
Okay.
Israel, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Israel, who took them out of Egypt with wonders and miracles, and supported them in the desert for 40 years with food, and gave them the land of Canaan after he crossed them through the Dead Sea with miracles and wonders, and the Jordan River. Okay, everything we just said is the first part of the prayer that we say, and what the book and the whole book that we're learning, Kuzari, comes to explain this short paragraph. The whole book is explaining this little paragraph. And this little paragraph, I'll continue in a minute, corresponds to the prayer that we say in the morning. Baruch ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shebachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. God, you chose us, and because you chose us, you gave us the Torah. So first, the Jewish people are chosen. So till now, we were just explaining why were they chosen. What does it mean that we're Am Segula? What does it mean that we have this special, unique gift that we are what we call the fifth level of creation, where you have stones, and then plants, and then animals, and then human beings, and then the Jewish nation. So it's a whole new creation. Till now, that's what we were talking about. Now we're going into something new. We said, what is it? Till now is the first piece. And even though it's not chronological, because here it says, I believe in the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Israel, who took us out of Egypt, gave us the land of Israel. right? And then sent Moshe Rabbeinu with this Torah after thousands of prophets, strengthening the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu that he brought us. And they promise you will get, right, Be'ye'ud tov le'mishishmo, and you will get rewarded with incredible gifts if you follow the Torah. Ve'ye'ud ra le'mishyavo, and negative things that will happen to you if you go against it. So that's where we are right now. We're now going to be talking about Moshe Rabbeinu and the Torah, or prophecy, and then reward and punishment, the next world, heaven, Gan Eden, all these questions. That's what the book ends with. The first chapter ends with. So we're actually going through this one small section that included everything. Now we're expanding on it. Okay? So we're going back to the source. And now here we are, number 100. What does the Kuzari say? And now the Kuzari is so excited. He gets it. I understand. You can't invent your own religion. You can't invent your own ways to serve God. Everything has to come from above to below. So now the Kuzari basically wants to show that he understood everything he learned with the rabbi. I get it. Let me tell you what I got so far. This is what I understand so far. Tell me if I got it correctly. The rabbi's going to say, you got it a little bit. You're still a little confused. And then we'll have to go back to clarify again, a little stronger. You got it, but not completely. Okay? Amar Akuzari. The king is now going to say, after this whole revelation, he's really getting it, he's understanding it. And remember, we're almost at the end. At the end of the first chapter, the king converts. And then, chapter 2, it's a whole different conversation. It's a Jew talking to a Jew and clarifying who you are, what you're all about. But everything the king needed in order to be convinced enough to convert was done by the first chapter. And this is what the Kuzari says. Amar Kuzari, בכמו זה תנוח הנפש לקבל התורה מבלי ספק. ולא פקפוק. I'm going to tell you now what I believe is the way that I would accept the religion, the Torah, and why I know the Torah is real, is שיבוא נביא לעבדים משועבדים לחוצים. That a prophet, this is the way religion is created. A prophet comes to enslaved servants. And he tells them exactly, listen, I'm taking you out of here. And I'm taking you to the land of Israel. And the land of Israel is conquered by 7 nations. Even if there was only one nation here. There was a Canaani, V'Amori, V'Yevusi, V'Gigashi. There were 7 powerful nations. And even if there was one nation here, they would have been strong enough to wipe out the Jewish people. So here the prophet comes and he says, I'm taking you out of Egypt. They're enslaved. 210 years already. And imagine, the prophet comes, Moshe Rabbeinu, and he says, I'm taking you out of Egypt. And I'm going to bring you to the land of Israel. And it's going to happen. This is when it's going to happen. In a year from now, you're going out. And then you're going to come into the land of Israel. And he told each tribe what part of Israel they're going to live in. So in the Torah, it doesn't mention that Moshe Rabbeinu told each tribe which section in Israel they would get. But according to Rabbi Yehuda Levi, like we know that Moshe Rabbeinu told them, but according to Rabbi Yehuda Levi, that Moshe Rabbeinu already told them. He told them which each tribe which is going to be your section in Israel. Vitkayem, and everything happened in a short amount of time. Akol itkayem bizman mu'at, with miracles and wonders, and ze me'amet Gdulat HaSholeach, this is the proof of the greatness of God who sent him, and the greatness of the person who was sent, and the greatness of the nation that he was sent to. Okay? So, all of the promises that Moshe Rabbeinu said happened, which is the opposite of in the world, right? The nation, all these prophets, they say things and it doesn't happen. Now, the Rambam says that the proof that a prophecy is real is, how do you know if something's real or not? Is that whatever he says happens. Okay? ואילו היה אומר, אני שלוח אשר כל העולם, ולא היה מגיע דברו עד חציו, if Moshe Rabbeinu would have came to the Jewish people and said, hello everybody, I'm here to take you out of Egypt. I'm here for the world. Dear world, I'm here to rescue you. He wouldn't be able to rescue the whole world. It wouldn't happen right away. The fact that he came just to the nation and told them, I'm taking you out, and it's going to happen in this certain period of time. It took a year that we left Egypt. It took 40 years till we got into the land of Israel. Everything happened, like he said, in a short period of time. It should have been 11 days from Egypt to Israel, but because of the sin of the Meraglim, we ended up going 40 years. It's not such a crazy amount of time. Everything he said happened in a short period. 41 years. If he would have came, so the king is saying, wow, I can't believe how amazing these Jewish people are. If Moshe Rabbeinu would have came and he would have said, I'm here to save the world, it wouldn't have happened. Nobody, and it would have been a lie. And because it would never be done, the whole fixing of the whole world. So it's incredible. He said things that happened, and that's what the Rambam says. How do you know the difference between a true prophet and someone who's a magician or a magic person or whatever, a false prophet? Because even a false prophet, right? What do they all say? All these people that do magic, they all say what's going to happen in the future. And sometimes it happens. Right? I could say something about you. You're going to walk down the street and something's going to happen. It could happen. So how do you know if the prophet is a true prophet or a false prophet? Right? You tell a woman you're going to get pregnant, you're going to have a son. Could happen. She had a girl, or saying. And when it happens, then they make a big deal about it. So how do you know if a prophet is a true prophet or a false prophet? The Rambam says the only way to know is that for a true prophet, every detail of what he says has to come true. And if a small detail of what he said doesn't come true, he's a false prophet. And where does the Rambam learn this from? Unbelievable. He learns it from, there was a false prophet in the time of Yirmiyahu. His name was Hananiah ben Azur. Hananiah ben Azur was a false prophet. And what does the Torah say? Torah said, it says in the Yirmiyahu, Vayamot Hananiah Hanavi Bashanahi B'chodesh Hashvi. And Hananiah died. He said you're gonna die this year. And it says he died that year on the 7th month. So the rabbis ask a question. Why do you have to tell me that he died that year on the 7th month? Right? If you say he died that year on the 7th month is already the next year. Because we count from Nisan. And the 7th month is Tishrei. Right? It's the next year. According to how the world counts, from Tishrei they count the next year. We count from Nisan, from when we left Egypt. It says you will now count the first month will be. So why does it say that year, 7th month? It's like doesn't make sense. He died this year, but next year. The answer is, Chazal explain, that Hananiah ben Azur died on the Erev Rosh Hashanah. A few hours before Rosh Hashanah, he died. But what happened? He commanded the people of his home, take my body out only after Rosh Hashanah. Because I want them to say that the prophet is a Navi Sheker. I want them to say that Yirmiyahu is a false prophet. And if they know that I died that year, then they'll say he's a real prophet. What he said is what happened. So the Rambam says this is a proof that the difference of a few hours in a calculation is the difference between a true prophet or a false prophet. You get it? So, as we said, so the king goes on, and thank God he came to the Jewish people, and he told them, "I'm taking you out of Egypt," and everything he said came true. Because if he would have came to the world and said, "Hi, I'm here to save the world," it wouldn't have happened, even half of what he would say. And not only that, he wouldn't have been able to do it because the Torah is in Hebrew. היה ספר תורה עברי, והיה מאמץ אלומות שבאו הוד וכוזר להבינו. They wouldn't understand it. Nobody understands the language. He couldn't come and say, "I'm here to save the world," when the Torah is in Hebrew. That's what was the discussion that happened between the king and the Muslim. The Muslims goes on and on, but the proof that our religion is the true religion for everybody is the language that the Quran is written in. This poetic, godly language that no human being could ever write, and it's so godly. Yeah, but I don't understand Arabic, and it doesn't speak to me, and neither does 70 other nations. So how do you explain that it's for everybody when it's in Arabic? So here he's saying, wow, yeah, it's like he's trying to say how amazing it is, the Jewish religion, how it focuses on the Jewish people on a short time, and what happened, he didn't come to say, "I'm here to save the world," right? It's amazing. And maybe if he would have came, "I'm here to save the world," maybe after hundreds of years, people would be able to learn the language, or if the Jewish people conquered the whole world, and then, or sections of the world, then they would be able to, or people would convert. But he says, I don't, So this is the proof that that the Torah is real. I get it, right? Now, there's a hidden message here in what the king is saying. What's the hidden message? He's saying, basically, we're back to this big question. You're basically, nobody can have a fixing in this world besides the Jewish people. They either have to be conquered, right? And we have to force the Torah onto everybody, or they have to convert. So basically, you've hifkartem et ha'enoshut. How do you say? What's the word? You've basically gave up on the whole world. You gave up. It's going to get back to that, right? But that's the big question. So he says that after this major speech that comes from the king, the rabbi says, Amar Chaver, Lo kara Moshe leTorato. You didn't really get it. You're right, but you didn't get it. Lo kara Moshe leTorato zulate amo v'anshe leshono. ויעד אותם הבורא להזהיר את תורתו כל הימים ועל ידי נביאים ועשה כן כל ימי הרצון והזמן שהייתה שכינה עמהם. You're right, the Torah is only for the Jewish people. You got that. Right? We're not missionaries. We have no desire to convert the whole world like the Christians or the Muslims, to kill you or convert, right? Or, we don't have that. But, right? And we have no desire to spread the Torah to the whole world. We're actually not allowed to teach Torah to the nations of the world. They have their 7 mitzvah noch and certain things you're allowed to, but it's not simple. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha kilat Yaakov. Al tikri morasha elem orasa. We are engaged to God. It's like our wife, and we don't give it out. We don't teach Torah to people they're not Jewish. HaTorah nitna rak le'am Yisrael, right? And if the Torah was given to the whole world, so it would be given in 70 languages. Yes.
This applies to Torah Shebechtav and or Torah Shabbat Peh or both.
I don't know. It's good questions. I think it's a good question. I don't know exactly. For sure, Torah Shebaal Peh. Halachas, you're not allowed to teach. It's not for non-Jews. And you have to know what to teach non-Jews. There's, the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach can be expanded, and there's a lot to understand in there. It means to pray to God. So who is God? Part of the seven mitzvot of B'nai Noach. So obviously that's a lot, and you can expand it a lot, but it's not something I've come into contact with. But you have to know what to teach, what not to teach, and how to teach. We're still in the section right now where after 2,000 years in the exile, we need to build ourselves. It's okay, we're finally home, and now we need to build ourselves, take care of ourselves. We're not yet at the stage where we need to go and teach all the nations of the world. Yes.
I don't know. I've seen, because like friends are attached to this, but they see that like people have lodged all sorts of things against Israel and the Jews for things that are in like a Gemara, even though they're not. They're like there's like fabrications. But is it okay to go ahead and disprove those things?
It's a good question. I said I don't come into contact with that, so I don't know too much of it. But there's people that are experts on it, how to teach, what to teach. But the idea is that we are right now in a stage of life where we're trying to build ourselves up again. 2,000 years in exile, 90% are not religious. We got hit hard. We're not ready to go out and start teaching the whole world the Shevet B'nai Noach. We have to focus on teaching ourselves. There's like 1 million kids that don't even know Shema Yisrael, I heard. We're a little bit, saying people love to jump stages. We're not there yet. We have to teach Jews. And that's our mission. That's our job. And and there's enough to do there before we can go expand out of there to other levels. But you need to know what you can teach, how to teach, and it's not simple because the Torah is made for us, and it's our personal gift, and we're married to it, and we don't give our wife out to anybody. The Torah was given to the Jewish people, and like we said, and the Torah is just for us. You're right. The Torah is just for us, and we have this connection with God. And we know the story where God came to all the nations of the world, and each one, he offered it to them. When they heard what it said in it, they all said no. Right? We know the story. It said don't murder, don't steal, and they had for many reasons, they all said we don't want it. And then there's a famous story at the end of days, the nations of the world are going to say, hey, we didn't give us the Torah. And God says, what do you mean I didn't give you the Torah? I asked you if you wanted it, but now we want it. Okay, no problem. I'll give you a simple mitzvah. Go build a sukkah. They build a sukkah. It becomes super hot. And they kick the sukkah and they leave the sukkah. So the Gemara says, wait, the halacha is if you're in a sukkah and it's hot, you're allowed to leave the sukkah. The Gemara says, yeah, but why are you kicking the sukkah? Kicking the sukkah shows it's not fit for you. You kick it because it's like, I don't even like it. When we leave the sukkah, we cry. Oh man, it's raining. Oh man, it's a heat wave. We leave. And then there's another story. They say, give me the Torah. We never give us a chance. Okay, no problem. I'll give you an easy mitzvah. Tefillin and tzitzis. Suddenly they see Gog and Magog coming. The big war comes. In the Holocaust, how many people actually wanted to convert during the Holocaust? Who wants to be Jewish? Thank you very much. So it says they threw off the strings. They're like, Ninatka et masrotemo, nashlicha mimenu avotemo, the pasuk in Tehillim. Let's take these bondages off of us when they see suddenly the war coming and the challenges of being a Jew. It's not easy. It's not simple. And therefore, we went through it. And we are, and it's our Torah. That's part of it is also, paying the price. It says in the time when the Jewish people are flourishing, they don't accept converts. But still, that's in the time of Shlomo Melech. They say still people would come, but it's not simple. You have to be willing to pay a price, and it's not a simple to be a Jew. And you have to understand it's not just fun and games. It's serving God in in ways that are difficult also. So now the king asks, when he says, yes, it's just for us, just for the Jewish people, and again he goes back to the question that keeps coming over and over again. אמר כוזרי, והלא היה יותר טוב שישר הכל, והיה זה נכון, ודאי יותר נכון וראוי בחוכמה. Why didn't God, same question, why are you talking so narrow again? Here you are talking about the Jewish people, and it's only for you, and the world is, and God is here only to save you. And what about us? Why didn't God give the Torah to everybody? Right? If God is, it seems that God is only good to the Jewish people. I'm looking for a big ideal, something, universal, something international, something, earth-changing. I'm a king of a nation. And you're telling me it's just for your nation? Again, why are you just getting rid of the whole world? Why is the Torah just for the Jewish people? And the king is a big man. He sees big. And it hurts him to see the state that the world is in. And he was very happy to hear about, God and Jewish people and all these great things, but I want something bigger. What about the rest of the world? Why didn't God create the Torah that would fit for everybody? Right? If only the Jewish people are important to God, so why did he create everybody? Why did you create me, God? I'm not Jewish. Why did you create me if you only want the Jewish people? Amar Chaver. So a Jew always answers a good question with another question.
Is it 103, Rab?
103.
Okay.
אמר חבר, והלא היה יותר טוב שיהיו החיים כולם מדברים? Why, if you're going to ask that question, then why don't you ask a question, right? You're saying, why weren't all human beings Jewish, right? So I'm asking you a different question. Ask me a question. Why wouldn't all the plants be humans? Or why wouldn't all the animals be humans? And why wouldn't all the plants be animals? Why, right? What do you care, God? Why does God constrict in this world? Why is there levels and stages, and why? Right? He says, Im ken shachachta ma shekadam behemshech. Im ken shachachta ma shekadam behemshech zera adam. You forgot everything I told you, so we'll go back to the basics. Ha'ech chal העניין היה באיש שהיה לב האחים וסגולת האב. And so you forgot what we talked about, Adam Arishon. Okay, we'll explain this. Why are certain people the prophets, probably are not? Okay, so we're going back to the big question. So the question is not, why didn't God create everything one? Why didn't God create everyone? Because God wanted there to be different level and stages and expansion. And this is what he wanted. Every level of creation is needed, whether it's plants or animals, nations of the world, and the Jewish people. It's a process. It's part of why God chose it. Not everybody is the descendants, not all of the descendants of Adam Arishon are like Adam Arishon. It's just a fact. And not all the descendants of Avram Avinu are like Avram Avinu. Or like Yitzchak or Yaakov. Yishmael was out. Esav was out. And, right, it's like a fruit, like we mentioned, the fruit and the peel. The peel is needed. It had a certain purpose. But then it gets thrown away. It gets peeled away. And you don't eat it. You don't use it. You don't grow from it. You don't plant the seed from it. Shem was in, right? And we're going on and on. And therefore, this is what happened. During the generations, things expand. And that's the way it is. And this is the way God chose to do it. And we don't understand why did God chose to do it. But that's how he chose to do it. That's how he wants it to be. And it's just a fact. And therefore, and he says, Veda, and you should know, Ki kol asher yifga b'navi. A person that meets a prophet. You don't understand. Ba'et shepag'o tov v'shamot v'av Elohim. When you meet a prophet and you come in contact with a prophet and you hear his words, mitchadeshet lo ruchaniyuto v'nifrad מסוגו בזכות הנפש השתוקקות אל המדרגה ההם והידבקו בענווה וטהרה. A person that was close to a prophet, you became a new person. Your whole personality was changed. Right? It doesn't mean that the prophet erased your personality, but you would discover something in yourself you didn't know existed. Okay? And therefore, it's like sort of like you meet a charismatic person that changes your life with the experience. Right? זאת תהיה אצלם ראיה הנראית והאות הבהיר בגמול העולם הבא. כי המבקש, so now we're getting into the next section, which is already something else. It's olam haba. I just want to go over what we mentioned so far. Okay? So we mentioned so far, and next week we're going to go into olam haba. I don't want to go into that now, but we're talking about prophecy. The king is finally convinced that prophecy is true, but why? Maybe everything that Moshe Rabbeinu said and did happened by, coincidence. What kind of proof do you have? So he says, you're right. That's when you're talking about, and this is the answer of the king, the rabbi, to the king. You're right. A one-time prophecy, maybe it could be right, maybe it could be wrong, but something that happens in a constant, retzef, something that is repeated, repetition, something that's continuous, something that is continuous. That's the right word, right? Moshe Rabbeinu promised a nation of slaves that you will go free, and what a miracle! And you will come into the land, and you will win 7 nations, and every tribe will get their place. And in a short time, it all happened. So therefore, that's one thing you can't deny. And it's true. So you can't deny the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. And he's saying not only the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the shaliach, he's the messenger, but also you understand through the messenger who is the sender and who he was sent to. If this is who the person is sent, by who is he sent and to who is he sent? Through this understanding of Moshe Rabbeinu, you understand to who he was sent and who sent him, right? But all this, what we just said, can't convince the nations of the world. Why? Because if he would have said, I'm here to fix the world, he wouldn't have been able to fix even half the world. We know how many problems there are in the world. And the Torah was given in Hebrew, so how would he convince the nations of the world? So yes, the Torah was given only to the Jewish people, and it's their language. And throughout the generations, the prophets spoke in Hebrew and explained, strengthened what the Torah said. In other words, the Torah was the receiving of the Torah, Matan Torah, was this one-time experience, and everything else is just to expand it, to branch out on it, but nothing is creating something new. There is no, if you, the king, are trying to say that a prophet is someone who comes and creates something new, you missed the whole point. Moshe Rabbeinu did not create something new, and no prophet after him came and gave some new ideas. And that's exactly when the king is saying, I get it, this is how the Jewish people were created. And the rabbi says to him, no, you missed it. Because you're right. How were the religions created? Christianity and Islam, and that's what we're dealing with here. Muhammad, they call him a prophet. Jesus, the prophet. So in other words, they say, and none of them say that everything happened till then was wrong. Everything that happened till now was right. And now we have a prophet that comes and he says, I have something new to say. Whoa. If you are not coming as a direct, as you say, student of Moshe Rabbeinu, and a direct lineage and a direct connection to Matan Torah, then we don't accept it. Right? It has to be coming from that one experience that will never happen again, that Matan Torah, the receiving of the Torah. And therefore, we said the prophets all came and said, follow the word of Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? What's the last prophet in the book, the last book of prophecy, the last prophet?
Malachi.
Malachi, what does he say at the end? The last final prophecy is Zichru Torat Moshe Avdi. Right? Let's see. Right? The last one, Divrei Ayamim. Okay, whoops. What's the last thing? No, where is that? Nevi'im. What's the last prophet? Malachi. And what's the last word there? Veshi Levot Abanim. Where is it? Zichru Torat Moshe Avdi. Right? Doesn't it say that? The last thing he says is keep the word of Moshe Rabbeinu. Here, Zichru Torat Moshe Avdi. The last prophet says, the last Zichru Torat Moshe Avdi asher tziviti אותה בחורב על כל ישראל בחוקים ומשפטים. That's the last message. Is follow what Moshe. You have to be coming from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu passed it on to Yeshua, and it goes on, and it has a direct lineage, and it has to be coming from there. And why? So then the king says, oh, why not give it to the whole world? Because the world is created with different levels. That's just the way it is. And that's good. It's good God created that way. We don't know why, but that's the good way to do it. You could also ask, right, why did God create, didn't make all the animals human? So how did this happen? How was this nation created? What was the process? We mentioned it before, and that's exactly what we learned so far. It's a process of sifting from fruit, peel, heart, limbs, right? The heart of the world is the Jewish people. Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, these are the heart, these are the segula, these are the fruit, and so what is the distance between the Jewish people and the nations of the world? Like we said, it's the difference between an animal and a human and the Jewish nation. It's another creation. It's another level of existence. It's a different type of creation, the Jewish nation. As you know, as individuals, we may seem that we're like everyone else, but as a nation, we are a new level of creation. I mean, think about it today. And what makes us different? What makes us special? Prophecy. But not everybody is prophets. But everybody can be a prophet. You can be a prophet. It takes a lot of work, becoming holy, but we don't have prophecy today. It's true. But if you give your life and you give your life for holiness and purity, you will reach the level of nevuah, of close to prophecy. And how do you know when someone becomes a prophet? How can you know? Can you know if somebody becomes a prophet?
If you didn't take any actions yet? Or?
How do you know if somebody became a prophet? He says, yes. How? Because a person who meets other prophets. Today we don't have this, but in the old days, you meet other prophets, you hear what they're saying, you soak it in this high level of spirituality, and you become different than other people. This is something we have to look forward to. It's like an airplane must fly. You don't use an airplane to go to the store to buy some milk. You use it to fly from one continent to the other. And this is what we need to be. This is what we will be. And next week we will talk about Olam Haba, the next world, Gan Eden. And then we're finishing the first chapter, or the first book, the first chapter. It's very exciting. I hope you got something out of it. It's very deep and complex. The language is difficult. I hope you understood a little bit. Thank God we have this book that my rabbi wrote for children. to teach Kuzari to children. So, obviously, this children's book is not such a simple child book. This is also for for people like us. But it's deep things, it's deep concepts. I hope you got something out of it. And next week we start learning about the next world.